Right now, today marking the 6th month since the shooting at Newtown. And in that time, what really has changed? Could gun control have a second chance? We'll discuss this evening. And next, the Justice Department has inserted itself into the debate over stop and frisk. And the question is, will that impact the judge's final call? And later, this devoted teacher was fired not for what she did, but for what her ex-husband did. We will explain and debate. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thanks so much for joining us this Friday evening, June 14th. It is 6 months to the day since the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
It doesn't seem real. I can't even believe it's been 6 months since I saw my sister, since I walked out the door and said, all right, we'll talk to you Sunday about Christmas, and she's gone.
And stunningly, 6 months and more than 5,000 gun victims later, our lawmakers in D.C. have done just about nothing to ease the pain of gun victims, or for that matter, prevent another Newtown from happening. Now, where you live, or where I live, or where our children live, for that matter, you can ask the honest question this evening: what really have we done to change the dynamic? So this evening, we're going to talk and really more show you what has been said and what we have seen in the past 6 months here. There has been the good. There are those folks in Washington calling for change. There has been signs from state legislatures around this country of taking up the fight. And there has been the ugly and the bad, from senseless deaths in December to the ugly. Some of the voices on Capitol Hill and around who say the people are whining and complaining when talking about lost loved ones or talking about preventing any gun violence with any sensible matters. I want to bring in our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. He's been working all day to take a look back and not just with numbers here and not just with facts, but also with some of the raw emotion that's really crystallized the last 6 months.
And it's amazing, Rich, over the last 6 months, how much has happened and how little has happened in so many key areas. We cover this topic almost every night here on RFL, but working on this reminded me of two things I'd forgotten since Newtown. One, just how many horrific shootings and mass shootings we've seen since then. And two, just how painful it all still is 6 months later.
Sandy Hook School. Callers indicating she thinks there's someone shooting in the building.
The breaking news of a shooting at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. And you heard that right. It is unthinkable, an elementary school.
I was out in the hall when, like, everybody heard the bullets.
Yeah.
They, like, went into a total panic.
More than one shooter, or?
Yeah, just one. No, just one shooter. Just one shooter, yeah.
The kids were
Okay,
terrified.
these units in the school, I got bodies here, but getting in one thing.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
You wanted to be a doctor, a soldier.
We're all very, very sad in this town, and we're hoping that the nation will come together and decide that this is enough. Is it enough yet? Have we yet had enough?
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
The NRA, I would say that they were tone deaf, but it's beyond that. They're just deaf. I mean, they have completely ignored, don't understand, don't grasp how deeply wounded this nation was.
4 firefighters were shot overnight as they responded to a house fire in Webster, New York.
Upon arrival, the firefighters all drew fire. All 4 firefighters were shot at the scene.
People say, and you read, and people write about the political risk and why they're unacceptable to take on. I say it's unacceptable not to take these on.
Tonight we are learning more disturbing details of a mass murder in Albuquerque's South Valley. A 15-year-old, Nehemiah Griego, is in jail after telling investigators he shot and killed his parents and 3 younger siblings.
Charlotte Bacon. Charlotte deserves a vote. Daniel Barden. Daniel deserves a vote.
The families of Newtown deserve a vote.
A standoff in Herkimer continues at this hour after a deadly shooting spree there today. Herkimer is about 80 miles west of Albany.
After we heard what went on, we came outside, and about maybe a half hour later, there was fresh blood on the sidewalk.
They need to not just look us in the eyes, but look our children and the lost ones and see those faces, see what's gone.
It's been years since I've seen my son. Okay?
It's going to happen again. It is going to happen again. And every time, you know, it's somebody else's school, it's somebody else's town, it's somebody else's community, until one day you wake up and it's not.
The liberty of any person to own a military-style assault weapon and a high-capacity magazine and keep them in their home is second to the right of my son to his life.
Some discovery in Akron. Police say 4 people were found shot, execution style, in the basement of a townhouse.
My son would not have hurt anyone. My son would have gave the shirt off his back. And whoever did this needs to be found and be held responsible.
The order in the Senate. The vote, on this vote, the yeas are 54, the nays are 46. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this amendment, the amendment is not agreed to.
All that happened today was the preservation of the loophole that lets dangerous criminals buy guns without a background check. That didn't make our kids safer. So all in all, this was a pretty shameful day for Washington.
We won 55 votes, but the arcane and arbitrary, unacceptable rules of the Senate required us to get 60, and we're going to make sure that we fulfill and keep faith with the memories and losses that they suffered.
If 90% of the public want something and their representatives vote against that, common sense says they are going to have a price to pay for that.
It doesn't seem real. I can't even believe it's been 6 months since I saw my sister. Since I walked out the door and said, all right, we'll talk to you Sunday about Christmas, and she's gone.